Good morning, French students. This is Mrs. Kremschreider, and I wanted to go over the syllabus with you for our students who are virtual students. So here you see the syllabus. Probably one of the things that's important here is that you see that the email is right here. So that is how the best way for you to contact me is going to be using email. So again, the course description, course goals, you can kind of read through that on your own, but basically remember that all students in the state of Michigan are required to take at least 1 year of a foreign language before they graduate from high school. It's a graduation requirement. In addition, I would suggest if you think that you have any chance you're going to go to college, that you plan to take a second year of the same foreign language. It does have to be 2 years of the same foreign language. It can't be 1 year of one and a different year of a different one. So again, the course description is there. You're gonna learn how to speak and write and understand French. Looking at the requirements here, again, you're not coming to class, but you will absolutely still want to have these things handy when you are listening to videos and such. You'll see here recommendations. A French English dictionary is not a requirement, but if you do discover that you enjoy the language, it might be something to ask for a Christmas gift, to ask for a French English dictionary. Attendance and makeup work. So again, here you see, I just tell you you're going to be responsible for everything that we cover. So again, you're going to want to keep absences to a minimum. The one nice thing about absences this year will be that you will be able to watch a video if you're not in class. So in the event you're absent, I would recommend that you go and find the video for that day and for what you missed and take a look at it. French definitely is a subject that builds upon itself. What that means is you're going to learn some vocabulary as we get started. You will have to continue to know that vocabulary as we move through French 1 into French 1B, and also if you choose to continue into French 2 as well. So again, it is a subject that builds upon itself. Again, when you're absent, you need to figure out what you missed. My suggestion is checking with a reliable friend, or again, Google Classroom is going to be a great resource that everybody should be using. Turning in material. So again, for students who are in class and students who are virtual, this year everything will be turned in through Google Classroom. And again, eventually I will have a little video for you with that information, kind of showing you how to find things and such and navigate within Google Classroom. In that case, makeup material and such, all you're going to do is submit it. It's going to say that it was late, but I do keep track for myself, and I also typically keep track in Skyward for you if you were absent. And so if you're absent, I won't mark it late, even if in Google Classroom it gets marked late. Tests and quizzes, again, those are going to be taken through Google Classroom using Google Forms. They're going to be available the day that they're assigned from I probably will post them about 8 in the morning or so, and then you'll have until 11:59 that evening to get them done and submitted. So, in the event you're not in school the day of a test or a quiz, or again, you're a virtual student, this shouldn't be an issue. If for some reason you're really not feeling well that day, let's say that you happen to, have the flu and you're, running back and forth to the bathroom, obviously that's not an ideal situation to take a test or a quiz. Again, if you will email me as soon as you're not feeling well, I can open up those quizzes and get you the ability to make that up. Okay. But if it's just that you have a doctor's appointment at some point that day, and so you're going to be gone for an hour or two, again, I do expect you then sometime during that day to take that test or that quiz. And again, if you know you're going to be out of town, let's say that you have a family vacation planned or a getaway or something, and you're not going to be you're not going to be able to do it that day because you won't have access and such. Again, I want to know that in advance. Okay. You should be telling me things like that in advance, not after the fact, please. So, again, everyone is going to take assessments in Google Classroom. And again, if there are challenges with that, virtual students, you have to you're required to be able to do those things online. Hybrid students, if you don't have reliable internet access at home, then you're going to talk to me and we're going to make some other arrangements and figure out how you can take those things. Classroom rules and consequences, these are pretty standard. Okay. Again, you're going to be on time, be prepared, which means you have your materials. You're going to be on time. So that means that for my definition, days that you're in school that means that you are through the classroom door and on your way to your assigned seat. You don't necessarily have to be in your assigned seat. If there are handouts to pick up or things of that nature, you can be picking those things up and getting yourself ready for class, but you should be headed to your seat. Please use the restroom before class. If for some reason you're not sure you're going to make it back before the bell rings, if you just let me know, make sure I acknowledge having heard you. I'll let you walk in then a couple minutes late, and I won't mark you tardy. No talking while others are talking. Again, this is pretty important. When we're in class, there will be times that for French, we're going to do activities going around the room with everyone taking a turn. That's our opportunity to practice and work at our speaking abilities, your speaking abilities. And during that time, you really have to be quiet so that I can hear students and give them responses. Again, school rule is no food and drinks except water. Gum. Okay, so gum, this is a unique to French because to speak French, your mouth has to and your tongue need to make some movements that are unfamiliar. So the best way for that to happen is to make sure you don't have a piece of gum in your mouth. So I just ask that for class that you get rid of your gum. You can put gum in when we're done. And this is one for me as well. I really enjoy chewing gum, but during class, if you catch me with gum, you should remind me that I need to get rid of my gum. Guidelines here. Again, these are the things you've been told since you were a little kid. Keep your hands, feet, and objects to yourself. Use excuse me, thank you, and please. So in French, you see here that excuse me is excusez-moi. Thank you is merci. And please is s'il vous plaît. Move around the room quietly and without disrupting others. So again, if you need to blow your nose and use a tissue, if you need to sharpen your pencil, throw something away. Again, obviously this with COVID, you will have to have your face mask on at all times in class. But if you need to go and do something like that, you should go ahead and do it. Follow directions. Again, this is really important on tests and quizzes that you're looking at those directions and reading them carefully before you get started. It's okay to make mistakes. Again, this is going to happen. You're going to be learning to speak a foreign language. And so you're going to make a mistake when you say things out loud in class. Everyone does it. Again, I'm going to correct you, and typically I'm going to ask you to say it again. It's okay to ask questions. Again, if you don't understand directions on a test or quiz, if you don't understand what you're supposed to do for the homework, if you have a question about what we're talking about in class, you definitely should ask questions. I'm not a huge fan of raising your hand. So especially like during class time when we're having a conversation or doing things in our textbook. So if you have a question, you can kind of just politely interrupt and ask your question. Do your best work. So again, this class is purposely set up because I know it's a required class, that as long as you do your work, you will pass the class. The people who don't pass French 1 are students who don't do their work. So as long as you do your work, the class is made and designed so that you can pass it. Help others. This is a really big one for me. Again, I like to see students helping one another. Helping others doesn't mean that I hand someone my homework assignment to copy. That's being dishonest. Okay, and that's academic dishonesty. What help others means is that maybe you would sit down and explain something that they're struggling with in a way that made sense to you. Or you might, if they've been working on their homework and they're not sure they're doing it correctly, you might look at it for them and say, hey, yeah, that looks like that's right. Enjoy class, and then we're going to follow our handbook policies. So again, our positive behavior interventions and supports, PBIS, we have these expectations, your behavior expectations, and this is that warriors, okay? So remember, warriors, we are ready to be respectful, okay? Interdependent, organized, responsible, and new this year, safe. Okay, so we're going to go through these. You'll see these different places. Entering the classroom. Again, respectful. You're just going to greet adults and fellow students. Respectful for correcting assignments. We're going to politely correct mistakes without judgment. We're going to participate if we're present the day an assignment was assigned or we have our assignment finished. And we're going to listen to our classmates as they give answers. Turning in papers, I don't know. We won't be doing this much this trimester. You're going to be turning in your assignments in Google Classroom. Same thing with returning assignments. Assignments are going to get returned to you through Google Classroom. Active participation, though, again, this is when we're going around the room with classmates doing some speaking. Again, we need to be listening so that we're not disrupting and bothering our classmates as they're working hard to think about French and speak in French. And again, we're going to just use items that are in the room quietly without disrupting others. Online learning, okay, I don't anticipate really doing Google Meets, but in the event that we do, keep in mind that you should keep your microphone on mute unless you have something to say. And make sure that we're going to keep comments polite and school appropriate in Google Classroom and such. So again, these were all for respectful, which is characterized by or showing politeness or kindness. So interdependent, which means helping yourself and others to improve the environment. So again, things that you're going to do, you're going to check the whiteboard to see what's happening in class. I post on the whiteboard, and this same information will also be posted in your Google Classroom stream, what's happening for the day in class. Borrowing items is going to be a little tricky this year. We shouldn't be borrowing items because of COVID-19. So it's going to be particularly important that you're responsible and you have pens and pencils and paper and your textbook and things like that with you every day, your Chromebook with you every day in class. You're going to take your turn. Again, turning things in is going to be in Google Classroom this year. Try your best. Say the oral answers in your own head when it's not your turn to say it aloud. And we'll talk about this the first time we do these in class, but we go around the room so you'll know when it's your turn to speak. You'll know that it's coming up to be your turn to speak, okay? But when it is not your turn to speak, in your head, you should be saying, okay, the answer that a classmate is going to say out loud and kind of checking it and checking to see whether you know the answers or not. And again, you're going to check Google Classroom daily for assignments and for announcements, and you're going to submit all your assignments using Google Classroom on or by the due date. Organize means having a system. Again, this is going to be really important this year, is that you have the materials that you need for class, and okay, in your backpack or your bag, because you'll be carrying that to class. So that's your book, your workbook, something to write with, a Chromebook. And when class starts, you're ready for class. So I really expect you, when you walk into class and you sit down, that you're going to get out your textbook, your workbook, something to write with, your Chromebook, and have all of those things out on your desk. Okay. So you shouldn't be getting into your backpack for any reason during class. Everything should already be out and ready to go. Know which question is going to be your responsibility. And again, know when it's your turn to participate. You'll see how that works. But again, I do that on purpose. I don't ever like popcorn call on people, because I know that that's nerve wracking. You're going to know it's coming up on your turn. And so you're going to know that you need to kind of be getting ready for that. And again, you're going to submit assignments for the correct assignment in Google Classroom. Responsible, accountable for something within one's own power. Again, be on time. So that means you're headed to your assigned seat when the tardy bell rings. If there are handouts to pick up, you've done that. You write down the homework assignment somewhere if you're not just keeping track of it in Google Classroom, and you're going to place your bag or your backpack on the back of or under your desk. With assignments, right? Because this is like correcting assignments and such. Okay. Again, you're going to write neatly. You're going to correct mistakes on your own paper. So you're going to be correcting your assignments using keys posted in Google Classroom. And you need to check your work. Okay. I'm not going to do that for you. I'm posting keys for you to use. So you need to look at your mistakes, and mistakes that you make, I should see on the paper that you turn in, because you're going to correct your assignments before you submit them. I should see evidence that you have fixed mistakes that you made. Okay. And write answers down. Turn in absent work as soon as possible. So if you've been absent, somehow you didn't get a chance to turn something in, you were out of town and didn't have internet access, then you're going to get those things turned in. Repeat oral correction. So when we're doing things in class, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say, répétez s'il vous plaît. And that means that I want you to repeat what I've just said to you. And most times when I make a correction, I'm going to ask you to do that. That's a way for me to see that you're listening carefully and making an effort to fix your mistakes. And then use the restroom before class and ask permission to use it during class. Make sure your submitted assignments are well labeled and easily readable. So you're going to have two choices when it comes to turning in your assignments. If you would like to type your assignments in a Google Doc, you may do so. Do know that if you type your assignments, you do have to make sure you're typing your accent marks. And again, I'm going to create a video for you that goes over how to do that, but know that that's a requirement. If you're not proficient at typing and such, and you prefer to handwrite out your assignments, that's fine. Then you're going to have to take a picture of that assignment and upload it for the assignments in Google Classroom. Okay. And submit assignments and take assessments as assigned. Safe. Okay, again, when you're in class, you have to be wearing your COVID face mask at all times. I can give you a break. I'll tell you if I'm going to give you a break, but the breaks can only be about 1 minute to 2 minutes long. Okay, so you have to have your face mask up. And if you're speaking, you're going to have your face mask up, which is going to mean that you're going to have to be louder than normal so that you can be heard. You have to maintain social distancing. Remember, that's a 6 foot distance. So that's for a person that's about 6 foot tall. That's like your arm span. Okay. So you do need to be keeping apart. And then disinfecting your desk before and after use. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a person each day, 2 people each day. One person is going to get on gloves and use the spray bottle to spray the desk students have been sitting at. And the other person is going to have gloves on and have a um, cloth, and you'll wipe those desks. Okay, so that's going to have to happen at the end of class each day. It's just going to be kind of 2 people. I might do volunteers. If there aren't volunteers, I may just ask somebody to do it. Okay, again, you should only be handling your own paper and materials. We can't be borrowing things and such this year because of COVID. Only handle your own Chromebook. So this is why it's so very important that you have your Chromebooks. Make sure you have your charger with you just in case your battery is on its last leg. And realistically, again, this is a big one. You should be charging your Chromebook before you even come to school every day. So I would say that at night while you're sleeping, while you're kind of charging your own batteries, your Chromebook needs to be getting charged as well and charging its batteries. So that's going to be an important thing to do to make sure that your Chromebook is getting plugged in at night so it gets fully charged before you come to school for the day. All right, so I do ask that you have a 3-ring binder for this class. It's going to be helpful to have one because you'll want to have these materials again when you move into French 2. So again, you have a binder. You should bring it to class, okay? You're going to have your papers organized into sections. So you're going to have a homework section, although you might not have much in that. Vocabulary, tests and quizzes, projects, and papers. You may not end up having a whole lot of stuff in here, although students at school, you will have the ability to print from your Chromebook. So if there is something that you'd really like to have printed, remember that in Google Classroom, you do have the ability to print those things. So for example, vocabulary lists you might like printed. And some of those types of things I also do plan to have copies of for you. But just keep in mind if at some point I haven't given you a paper copy of something and you'd really like it, if you have a printer at home, you could print it at home. If not, there is supposed to be a way that students will able to print from their Chromebooks. So that's your binder. Grading. Again, things to expect here is that you're going to have, papers and projects, homework, tests and quizzes, final exam, okay? Late work. This is going to be kind of a little bit different because I'm going to ask you to still go ahead and submit it, even if it's been late in Google Classroom. And I will probably give you credit right away for the half point. But you do automatically, if something is not turned in on time, you're going to get half credit for it. So again, I'm going to keep track of you were absent, okay, or not. And then if you were not absent when you turn stuff in and it's late, you're going to get half credit for it. So it is important that you turn your work in on time. Again, the grade breakdown. My grade is not straight up, add up all the points possible, divide by the number there. Grading is a weighted grade. So papers and projects are 28%. In French 1, you're going to do a project about a French-speaking country. Okay. Homework. Okay. You'll have a lot of homework in my class because you have to practice writing French to be able to write it on an assessment, on a test or a quiz. So if you've never typed it up or handwritten it out, you're not going to be able to magically do that on a test or quiz. Okay. So that's 20% of your grade. Again, the homework, you're going to be kind of checking your answers before you turn it in. Tests and quizzes, okay, 32%, and your final exam, 20% of your grade. The grading scale here, this should be pretty much the same all throughout the high school. So we see the grading scale here. Communication with the teacher. Now, this is the stuff that's kind of important, okay, that you take the time to kind of read about, okay? And so I'm going to actually kind of read this to you and elaborate. So all communication with the teacher is expected to occur during normal school hours on school days. Thus, from 7:45 a.m. until 3:15 p.m. Monday through Friday. Email is the preferred method of communication. Okay, so that's really for students that are in class with me, right? Hybrid students, you're either going to be there Monday, Tuesdays, or Thursday, Fridays. That's fine. If you have a question in class, just ask me the question in class, okay? But when it's your days that you're not in class, and for the virtual students who are not going to be in class at all, okay, then what I'm saying is I would prefer that you send me an email. Now, here's why. I'm really pretty good at checking email. Typically, what I do on my computer in my classroom is I have my email up all the time. So I see immediately, or as soon as I am over near my computer again, that I have a new email. And the nice thing about email is if my students are working on something in class for a couple minutes, sometimes I can quickly respond to an email right then and there. Okay. So I prefer email because I can respond to it right away. Does that mean you can't call me and leave me a voicemail? No, you can, but I can't respond to a voicemail while I have students in the room. Okay, but I can respond to an email when I have students in the room. Students are expected to email using their school email address. Okay, so this is really important. Okay, please, if you do have a question for me, use your school email. Parents and guardians, if you need to email me with a question or concern about your student, again, please make sure it's an account that you check regularly. Okay. And again, my email's up at the top, but here I put my email again for you right here, right, is my email address. All right. Keep in mind that Mrs. Krumschreider is teaching with students in her classroom daily except Wednesdays, right? So virtual students, remember that Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, from 8:30 to 2:30, I have students in my classes sitting in front of me in my room. I have to attend to them, okay, during that time. Now, again, like I said, if they're working on some homework or something, or working on something and giving them a couple minutes, I can glance at my email. If it's a quick answer that I can give you, I may do that, okay? Or hybrid students, remember, you come Monday or Tuesday, or you come Thursday or Friday, but the other days of the week, I still have students in front of me. It's just not you. Okay. So I may or may not be able to respond real quickly, like all the time. Wednesdays are set aside for virtual days. So those would be really great days. Throughout the day on Wednesday, I really should be able to respond pretty quickly. Okay, so all I'm saying here is students as well as parents and guardians need to be patient with responses. Right? Trust me, I don't like to have email questions out there. I always do my best to respond to emails as quickly as I can. Okay. If I don't respond to you right away, it's because I'm busy doing something and I can't respond to you right away. Okay. Mrs. Krumschreider may choose to check and respond to email, comments in Google Classroom, etc. outside school hours, but that is by her choice. If you contact Mrs. Krumschreider outside school hours, you should expect a response sometime the following school day. Again, you guys have to keep in mind, okay, as a teacher, my personal stress level right now is through the roof. I need a break. I need to be able to go home and leave school alone and ignore my emails for the evening because I have a family too. Okay. I have a husband who's working full time. He's a healthcare worker. He's got quite a bit of stress with his job. I have a freshman and a sophomore in Mount Pleasant Public Schools who are also hybrid learners. And I have to be able to help them. I'm not available during the day to help them. My kids are going to be home alone by themselves 3 days a week trying to do all their virtual stuff by themselves. Okay. So I am going to come home from school and there are going to be times when I'm not going to look at my email. and I am not going to respond to emails. I am asking you, please, to be respectful of that. On the weekends, I may not respond to you. Okay. Last spring, I had some students that emailed me in the middle of the night. I am not up in the middle of the night. I go to bed. I go upstairs to get ready to go to sleep at between 8 and 8:30 because I get up in the morning at 4:30 every day. Okay. On school days. So if you might get answers from me via email at 5 o'clock in the morning or 5:30 in the morning. Okay. But know that I do need some time for myself. I need some time to with my family, with my children, with my husband. And I really am asking you, please, to be respectful of that. I will do my best to answer your questions and respond to you promptly. But in the evenings, on the weekends, outside school hours, keep in mind, if I choose to respond at that time, it's by my choice. Okay. I don't really have to be available to you during that time. Online learning. Okay. So these are the students that we're calling remote warriors. So, okay, this is not hybrid. This is online remote warriors, 100% online. Communication is required to be two-way, so back and forth with students. Parents don't count. Okay, a minimum of twice per week, defined as Wednesday to Wednesday. This communication must be academic in nature and should be initiated by the student. Please see the above communication with teacher section. So students, online remote warriors, for every class you have, you are supposed to initiate contact with your teacher twice each week. And that has to be academic in nature. So, for example, something that counts, an email of this nature, Mrs. Kremschreider, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do on homework number 1. That counts as a communication. Mrs. Kremschreider, I need some extra help. I don't understand how to conjugate ER verbs. That counts. What does not count is your parent making that contact. Again, this is making you ready to be adults, you guys. Okay? You have to take responsibility for your own education. You have to communicate with me. Assignments. And please know, if you're not communicating this way, we are, as teachers, have been told we are to refer you to give your name to Mrs. Newman, the principal, and she is going to follow up with you about this and with your parents, because this is in the contract that you signed when you agreed to be a 100% online or virtual learner. Assignments, okay? So this is, labs and homework. You guys don't have labs, but your homework and your papers and projects. Will only be accepted through Google Classroom, requiring students to have internet access at home and a device capable of supporting Google Classroom. Assignments may be typed using Google Docs, or a photo of handwritten assignments may be submitted in Google Classroom. Worksheet assignments may be either, number 1, typed up with only the answers using Google Docs, or printed by the student and handwritten to complete and then a photo submitted, or choice number 3, handwritten with only the answers and then a photo submitted. So for worksheets here, it kind of depends, right, on what you have at home. And I understand you may not have a printer at home. So if you don't have a printer at home and you like to type assignments in Google Docs, you can just type in like the blanks. Okay. If you have a printer at home and you like to handwrite stuff out, then you can go ahead and print the PDF of the worksheet and then write on it, take a picture of it, and submit it for the assignment. Again, if you don't like to type your assignments, then kind of option number, and you don't have a printer at home, option number 3 is your choice then, right? Because then what you're going to do is you're going to kind of look at it on your Chromebook, you're going to write it on a separate sheet of paper, and you're going to take a picture of that sheet of paper and upload it as the assignment. I don't care. It's whatever preference you prefer, whatever technology you have at home. Okay, you might not even have to take a picture of it. If you have, my printer that I have at home is a scanner too. So I wouldn't have to take pictures of it. I can scan it if I want. It doesn't matter. Okay, it has to be submitted. Students will be responsible for using a key or homework check video provided by the teacher to verify the accuracy of homework assignments following their submission. Okay. So again, I'm going to have, and you'll see when I make the video for navigating Google Classroom, and if you look around in it a little bit right now, you'll see there's a keys section, a homework keys section, where I will put those homework keys. I have decided that those are not going to be available until 7 p.m. the day that it's assigned, because I don't really want you to just copy the answers, which I know you can do. Okay, and it's on you. Like, if you just copy answers all the time, your tests and quizzes are going to be a lot harder than they need to be. Okay. Assignment due dates. So I guess let's just a moment here before I advance about assignments. This is where there's a big difference from what happened last spring to what's happening now. As an online virtual student, your only way to submit things is through Google Classroom. That means do not ask me if you can text message me a picture of your assignment. The answer is no. Do not ask me if you can just show a parent the homework and your parent can email me and tell me that they've seen it done. The answer is no. As a student, you have to, figure out how to get your assignment submitted in Google Classroom based on the technology you have available to yourself. Assignment due dates, you're going to have until 11:59 p.m. on the day the assignment is due to submit the assignment using Google Classroom. Okay. If it's not in by then it's going to be late and you're going to get half credit. Tests, quizzes, unit tests, exam will only be accepted through Google Classroom. Again, there may be some questions that you have to handwrite out responses for, and then you'll do a photo. And again, that's going to be another little video I will make for you about how to do those sorts of things. Assessment due dates. Again, you're going to have the day it's due to get it done. Okay. So if for some reason, again, that you're not feeling well that day, you're really legitimately, running back and forth to the bathroom. And so sitting for 45 minutes to an hour doing an assessment is not an option. Okay. Or again, like I said, you're going to be out of town for something and you don't have good internet access. You need to tell me beforehand. Okay. And we can make some other arrangements. So that is our remote warriors are 100% online. Hybrid kids stuff's a little different. I'm going to go over this with you in class. So I'm not going to go over this in the video. Okay. So again, this is that syllabus. Please make sure that you understand it. If there are parts that you have questions about or you're unclear about, please send me an email. Thanks.